Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something powerful today. There's a strength in your absence that speaks louder than any word you could ever utter. When you step away from the grasp of a narcissist, you don't just leave the room, you dismantle their entire world. A narcissist thrives on control. Every action, every word, every gesture they make is designed to weave a web around you, one strand at a time. They position themselves as the puppet master, and you, whether knowingly or unknowingly, play the role they've cast for you. To them, control is not just about power, it's about survival. It's how they validate themselves and construct their fragile sense of superiority. But what happens when you remove yourself from their game? What happens when you take away the stage they've built to perform their dominance? The answer is simple yet profound. Their control shatters. You see, a narcissist's control isn't rooted in true strength. It's rooted in manipulation, in smoke and mirrors. They create illusions of power by breaking down your confidence and making you question your worth. They do this so subtly that you don't always realize it's happening. A sharp remark disguised as humor, a dismissal of your feelings framed as logic. A series of little moments that make you doubt yourself until you start to rely on them for validation. This is their playground, a space where they pull the strings and you move in rhythm to their tune. But here's the truth they don't want you to know. Their control only exists because you're present. It thrives because you've been conditioned to stay within their orbit. They make you believe that you can't survive without them, that you're incapable, weak, or incomplete on your own. It's a lie, of course, but it's a lie they tell with conviction because it keeps you tethered to them. Your presence is the fuel for their fire. They need your attention, your reactions, your compliance to maintain their sense of superiority. Without you, their game falls apart. The moment you decide to step away, you remove the foundation of their control. You no longer react to their provocations. You no longer seek their approval. You no longer engage in the battles they've created to keep you distracted from the bigger picture. And just like that, the strings they've been pulling snap. They can no longer manipulate someone who's no longer there. They can no longer dictate the narrative when the audience walks out. This is the part that terrifies a narcissist, the part where you reclaim your autonomy. Because when you walk away, you're doing more than just leaving a toxic situation. You're sending a message loud and clear that their power was never as strong as they thought. You're proving that their control was an illusion, dependent entirely on your willingness to participate. They've built their sense of self on a shaky foundation. And when you remove yourself, that foundation collapses. What's truly remarkable is how immediate the impact can be. Your absence is like a gust of wind blowing through a house of cards. The control they spent so much time building crumbles almost instantly. At first, they might not show it. They might lash out, gaslight you, or try to draw you back into their web with promises of change or guilt trips designed to play on your emotions. But these are just desperate attempts to regain the control they've lost. Deep down, they know the truth. They're no longer in charge. And while they're left scrambling, trying to piece together their shattered control, you begin to rediscover yourself. You start to see the ways they manipulated you, the ways they tried to diminish you to make themselves feel bigger. You realize that their power was never real. It was borrowed from your own sense of self-worth. And when you take that worth back, you reclaim not only your freedom, but your strength. Walking away isn't just an act of defiance, it's an act of liberation. It's a declaration that you will no longer be confined by their need for control. It's a reminder to yourself that you are capable, strong, and whole without their influence. And while they may try to rebuild their control with someone else, they'll never forget the moment you dismantled it by simply stepping away. Your absence isn't just the removal of your presence, it's the removal of their power. It's the end of their dominance and the beginning of your freedom. Never underestimate the impact of that choice. It's not just a step to revolution. Silence is one of the most powerful tools you possess, but it is also the one thing a narcissist fears the most. To them, silence is not simply the absence of words. It is the absence of control, the absence of attention, and the absence of power. A narcissist thrives on noise, chaos, and constant engagement. Their entire existence revolves around creating emotional reactions, whether through conflict, manipulation, or charm. When you remove your voice, your energy, and your presence from the equation, you don't just walk away. You create a void that shakes their world to its core. A narcissist thrives in an environment where they can provoke, dominate, and manipulate. They need to know that their words have weight, that their actions cause ripples, and that they can pull you into their emotional whirlwind. When you respond, whether with anger, frustration, or even pleading, you're feeding the very thing they crave, your energy. To a narcissist, any reaction is better than no reaction. Your attention, even in moments of conflict, validates their existence and reaffirms their sense of superiority. But when you go silent, that's when everything changes. Silence is deafening to a narcissist because it forces them to confront something they have worked so hard to avoid, themselves. In your silence, they are no longer able to project their insecurities onto you. They are no longer able to create drama to distract from their own inner turmoil. Your silence becomes a mirror, reflecting back the emptiness and chaos they've tried so hard to hide. And let me tell you, that reflection is something they cannot bear to see. They've built their identity on external validation, and when that validation disappears, so does their sense of control. At first, they will try everything in their power to break the silence. They will bait you with insults or accusations, hoping to draw you back into the game. They may switch tactics and suddenly become overly kind, offering apologies or promises of change that sound almost too good to be true. These attempts aren't about genuine remorse. They're about regaining control. The narcissist doesn't want peace. They want engagement. They want to know that they can still push your buttons and elicit a response, but when you remain silent, when you refuse to engage, their attempts fall flat. The silence grows louder, and with it, their desperation. Your silence also exposes a truth that the narcissist has been avoiding. They are dependent on others for their sense of self. Without someone to manipulate or dominate, they begin to unravel. The silence forces them to sit with their own thoughts. And for a narcissist, this is the ultimate punishment. But in the quiet, there is no one else to blame. There's no audience, no scapegoat, just the raw reality of who they truly are. And that reality is one they cannot face. For you, silence becomes a tool of empowerment. It allows you to reclaim your energy, your peace, and your power. In the absence of constant noise, you can begin to hear your own thoughts and rediscover your own voice. The space that silence creates is not just a void, it's an opportunity for growth. It's a chance to rebuild your confidence, to heal from the wounds they inflicted, and to set boundaries that protect your peace moving forward. Silence isn't just the absence of sound, it's the presence of clarity. As you embrace the power of silence, you may notice something remarkable. The narcissist begins to lose their grip. Their attempts to draw you back in become increasingly frantic and ineffective. They might lash out, spreading lies or trying to tarnish your reputation. But even this is a sign of their crumbling control. They are reacting to the void you've created, a void that highlights their dependence on you. And while they may try to find a new source of validation, they will never forget the impact of your silence. The beauty of silence is that it speaks volumes without saying a word. It declares that you will no longer be a participant in their games, that you refuse to be a pawn in their pursuit of power. It shows that your peace is worth more than their chaos, and that you are strong enough to walk away without looking back. Silence dismantles their control, exposes their insecurities, and forces them to confront the emptiness they've been trying to hide. And in that silence, you reclaim not just your voice, but your freedom. A narcissist thrives on the attention and validation of others. Their ego is a delicate house of cards built on the approval, admiration, and even the fear of the people around them. They go to great lengths to control how others perceive them, weaving elaborate stories about their greatness while hiding their flaws. But underneath all the bravado lies an undeniable truth. A narcissist's sense of identity depends entirely on the people in their orbit. Without an audience, they crumble. Your absence, therefore, does more than just disrupt their narrative. It dismantles their very sense of self. When you're present in a narcissist's life, you play a critical role in their game. You provide the validation they crave, whether through admiration or even opposition. They feed on your reactions, using your emotions to build their sense of power and control. If you're praising them, they feel superior. If you're arguing with them, they feel significant. Even if you're simply tolerating their behavior, it reinforces their belief that they hold influence over you. They create situations designed to provoke a response, because to them, your attention, positive or negative, is a lifeline. But when you remove yourself from the equation, you sever that lifeline completely. Your absence is not just a physical departure, it's an emotional and psychological shift that disrupts the narcissist's carefully crafted reality. They rely on you to be their mirror, reflecting back an image of themselves that feeds their ego. When you're gone, that mirror shatters and they're left facing a void. They no longer have someone to reinforce their exaggerated self-image. And without that reinforcement, cracks begin to form in the facade they've worked so hard to maintain. For a narcissist, this is a terrifying experience. It forces them to confront the emptiness and insecurity they've been trying to mask with their grandiose behavior. The absence of an audience exposes a narcissist's vulnerability in ways they can't control. When you're no longer there to validate their existence, they're forced to seek validation elsewhere. This often leads to desperate and erratic behavior as they scramble to fill the void. They may try to replace you quickly, latching on to new people who can serve as their next source of attention. But these replacements are rarely satisfying because they lack the history, emotional investment, and familiarity you once provided. The narcissist finds themselves chasing a sense of control they can no longer sustain. What makes your absence so powerful is that it denies the narcissist the thing they fear most: irrelevance. A narcissist thrives on being the center of attention. They need to feel important, indispensable, and admired. When you walk away, you take with you the attention and significance they've been extracting from you. You show them without words that they are not the center of your world. And for someone whose identity is built on external validation, this realization is devastating. It forces them to question their own importance, something they've spent their lives avoiding. Your absence also challenges the narcissist narrative. They are skilled at creating a version of reality where they are always in control, always the victim, or always the hero. But when you leave, you disrupt that story. They can no longer manipulate your perception or use your reactions to validate their narrative. Instead, they're left trying to explain your absence to themselves and others. This often leads to a spiral of confusion and frustration as they attempt to rewrite the story to make themselves look blameless. But deep down, they know the truth. They've lost someone they could not control. For you, stepping away is an act of empowerment. It's a declaration that you will no longer be a participant in their toxic cycle. It's a decision to prioritize your own peace, growth, and well-being over their need for control. Your absence allows you to reclaim your energy and redirect it toward healing and self-discovery. It's a chance to rebuild your sense of self, free from the manipulation and emotional exhaustion that comes with being in a narcissist's orbit. And as you grow stronger, you'll see just how much power you hold in your decision to walk away. A narcissist may try to downplay the impact of your absence, but don't be fooled. The void you leave is profound. It forces them to confront the reality of their dependence on others for their sense of self. It disrupts their control and exposes the fragility of their ego. And while they may try to rebuild their house of cards, it will never stand as strong as it did when you were a part of it. Your absence is a reminder that their power was never real. It was borrowed from the strength and attention you once gave them. By taking that away, you dismantle their illusion and reclaim your freedom. A narcissist operates in a world of illusions. They craft a facade of power, control, and confidence, but beneath it all lies a fragile ego that cannot stand on its own. When you choose to remove yourself from their life, you're not just leaving, you're shining a light on the truth they've worked so hard to conceal. Your absence strips away the layers of manipulation and pretension, forcing the narcissists to confront the reality they've been avoiding. They are not as powerful or as in control as they pretend to be. And this revelation is something they cannot tolerate. A narcissist's sense of identity is constructed like a house of mirrors. They manipulate others into reflecting back the image they want to see, a person who is adored, respected, and untouchable. But when you step away, those mirrors shatter, leaving the narcissist exposed to the raw, unfiltered truth of who they are. Without you there to validate their false narrative, their carefully built image begins to crumble. The problem of being the same is that it's all just a hide. The cracks that were always present but hidden by their charm, manipulation, or intimidation now become impossible for them to ignore. Your absence creates a ripple effect in their life, one they are powerless to stop. You take with you the emotional supply they've depended on to maintain their delusions. A narcissist thrives on control over people, over situations, and over how they are perceived. But your departure removes a key piece of their foundation, leaving them scrambling to regain a sense of dominance. They may lash out, spread rumors, or attempt to discredit you, but these actions are not born of strength. They are acts of desperation, driven by the fear that their carefully crafted image is falling apart. One of the most powerful impacts of your absence is that it forces the narcissist to sit with themselves. For someone who has spent their life avoiding introspection, this is an unbearable experience. A narcissist's entire strategy revolves around deflecting blame, projecting their flaws onto others, and maintaining a sense of superiority. But when you're no longer there to absorb their negativity or feed into their games, they're left with no one to project onto. They are forced to confront the emptiness they've been running from, a void they've tried to fill with power, control, and the validation of others. This confrontation with themselves is deeply unsettling for the narcissist. They are faced with questions they cannot answer. Who am I without someone to control? What value do I have if no one is paying attention to me? These are questions they've spent their entire lives avoiding, and your absence brings them to the forefront. It exposes the truth they've worked so hard to bury, that their power is not innate but borrowed, sustained only by the people they manipulate and dominate. At the same time, your absence becomes a testament to your strength. By walking away, you demonstrate that you are no longer willing to be a pawn in their game. You show that your peace, your dignity, and your well-being are worth more than their need for control. This is a truth the narcissist cannot handle. They rely on the belief that they are indispensable, that their influence is unshakable, but your absence proves otherwise. It shows them and anyone else paying attention that their power over you was never as strong as they thought. As the narcissist tries to navigate life without you, they may attempt to find replacements for the validation and control they've lost, but these replacements rarely provide the same sense of security they once derived from you. A new person may fall into their trap for a while, but the narcissist knows deep down that they've lost something significant. They've lost someone who saw through their facade and chose to leave anyway. This is a wound they cannot easily recover from, and it lingers as a reminder of their vulnerability. For you, the power of your absence extends far beyond the narcissist's life. It creates space for you to heal, grow, and rebuild. It allows you to rediscover who you are outside of their influence and to reclaim the energy they once drained from you. In walking away, you affirm your own worth and set a standard for how you deserve to be treated moving forward. Your absence is not just a loss for them, it's a victory for you. Your absence does more than disrupt their life. It dismantles the illusion they built around themselves. It reveals the truth they've been hiding from and forces them to confront the reality of their own fragility. And while they may try to rebuild their facade, it will never be as stable as it once was. Your absence serves as a powerful reminder that their control was never real. It was dependent on you. By choosing to leave, you reclaim your power and leave them to face the consequences of their own actions. Walking away from a narcissist is not merely an act of physical separation. It is a declaration of freedom, a refusal to remain ensnared in their web of manipulation. A narcissist thrives on control, and their most potent weapon is the illusion that you are powerless without them. They cultivate this belief through subtle tactics, eroding your self-esteem, sowing doubt about your worth, and creating a dependency on their validation. But the moment you choose to step away, you shatter that illusion. You reclaim your power, and in doing so, you send a message that is impossible for them to ignore. You are no longer their pawn. Your decision to leave disrupts the carefully orchestrated dynamics of the narcissist world. They rely on your presence to maintain their sense of superiority, using your reactions and emotions as proof of their control. Whether it's through charm, manipulation, or intimidation, they pull the strings to ensure you remain in their orbit. But when you choose to walk away, you cut those strings. You demonstrate that their power over you was never absolute. It was only as strong as your willingness to stay engaged. Your departure exposes the limits of their influence, forcing them to confront the reality that they cannot control someone who refuses to participate. Walking away is an act of defiance against the narrative the narcissist has tried to impose on you. They often paint themselves as the center of your universe, the one person you cannot live without. This narrative serves a dual purpose. It inflates their ego while diminishing your sense of independence. But by leaving, you dismantle that story. You show that your happiness, peace, and self-worth do not depend on their presence. This revelation is a blow to the narcissist's ego because it undermines their most cherished belief that they are indispensable. Your departure also forces the narcissist to confront a reality they've been avoiding, their own emptiness. Without you there to project onto, manipulate, or draw energy from, they are left with themselves. And for a narcissist, this is an unbearable state. Their entire identity is built on external validation, on the admiration and attention of others. When you leave, you take with you the validation they've been extracting from you, leaving a void they cannot easily fill. This void is a mirror they cannot escape, reflecting back the insecurity and inadequacy they've spent their lives trying to hide. Walking away is not just an act of freedom for you, it's a lesson in boundaries and self-respect. It's a declaration that you will no longer tolerate manipulation, disrespect, or emotional abuse. It's a recognition of your own worth and a commitment to prioritize your well-being over their need for control. This shift in power dynamics is something a narcissist cannot handle. They are accustomed to being the one who dictates the terms, the one who decides when and how relationships evolve. But when you take control of your own narrative, you strip them of that privilege. You become the author of your own story, and they are left as a mere footnote. Walking away also disrupts the narcissist's ability to rewrite the past. They are masters of revisionism, often twisting events to suit their version of reality. But your absence creates a barrier they cannot cross. Without access to you, they can no longer manipulate your perceptions or convince you to doubt your experiences. Your departure is a firm boundary that protects you from their attempts to rewrite the truth. It gives you the space to heal, reflect, and reclaim your sense of self, free from the distortions of their influence. For the narcissist, your absence is a wound they cannot easily recover from. They may attempt to replace you, finding someone else to fill the role you once played, but deep down, they know that replacements are never the same. You were unique, and your decision to leave is a reminder of their failure to control you. It forces them to confront their own limitations and weaknesses, a reality they are ill-equipped to handle. They may lash out, seek revenge, or spread rumors in an attempt to regain a sense of power, but these actions only underscore their desperation. For you, walking away is the beginning of a journey toward healing and self-discovery. It's an opportunity to rebuild your life on your own terms, free from the toxicity and chaos of the narcissist's influence. It's a chance to rediscover your strength, your worth, and your ability to thrive without their presence. Walking away is not just an end, it's a new beginning. It's a statement that you will no longer settle for less than you deserve, and that you are willing to choose peace, freedom, and self-respect over the illusion of control. Walking away is the ultimate act of empowerment. It sends a clear message that you will no longer be defined by their narrative or confined by their manipulations. It forces the narcissist to confront the truth they fear most, that their power over you was never real and that you are stronger without them. Walking away is not just a choice, it's a victory. It's proof that you have reclaimed your power and that their influence over your life has come to an end. The most profound way to dismantle a narcissist's life is through your absence. Your decision to walk away is not just a step toward freedom, it's a declaration of your worth, strength, and resilience. It sends a clear message that you refuse to be controlled, manipulated, or diminished. It forces the narcissist to confront the void they cannot fill and the truth they cannot escape. Their power over you was never real. But this is not just about them, it's about you. Walking away is your act of reclaiming your identity and breaking free from their narrative. It's a moment of transformation where you choose peace over chaos, clarity over confusion, and self-respect over submission. It's your way of saying, I am enough, and living a life that reflects that truth. Remember, the greatest revenge is not found in confrontation or retaliation. It is found in the strength to leave, to heal, and to thrive. Your absence is the one thing they cannot manipulate, rewrite, or control. It is the silence that speaks louder than any argument, the strength that outshines their need for validation. Walk away with your head held high, protect your peace, honor your value, and step into a life that is no longer tethered to their toxicity. Your freedom is their undoing, and your future is where your true power lies. Keep walking, keep growing, and never forget you are stronger than you know and worth more than